favela nunca foi reduto de marginal. A favela nunca foi reduto de marginal. Ela só tem gente humilde marginalizada, e essa verdade não sai no jornal. A favela é problema social.
I pray you don't know the language of fire alarms. I pray you're not woken from your sleep by the smell of charcoal. I pray you have a fire extinguisher for a father and a burn surgeon for a brother. I pray a festival is the only thing you know of a burning man. I pray it's never useful to know that petrol eliminates gunpowder trace. I pray you've never smelt the gas leak of your mother's pain. I pray you don't know what I'm talking about, and that you never grew up in the fist of these blocks. I pray the morning light kisses you on your cheek. I pray your days are floating lanterns. Midst of it all, you wore your pain like the 3 stripes on your clothes, held your head high like you were neck deep in the sauce. You found the cheat codes for us lot on the blocks, and now you light this place up on your terms and take the piss like your bodily fluid was lighter fluid. Cause now you know your skin is not firewood, a body of signal fire living in a home with more exit wounds than fire exits. You know not to torch the world your mother put so much into building. Arson is never in your nature. You know you can be light without being fire. You can still wake them up and be heard without being an alarm. And if they don't see you, you let them hear you. Cause lightning and thunder are the same thing. And if they don't see you, you let them hear you. Remember, lightning and thunder are the same thing.
This is called Parables. At last we watch these cities topple. I swear this beast will eat itself. It feasts itself into digestion and it's shitting us out in a mess of rejected intestines. But we weakly-willed will cry tears when we hear that the beast is killed, because each has spilled themselves before it and begged that the beast should eat its fill. And yes, people still believe that their rewards are going to come. That's why they're keeping still, heeding the shrill pitch of its persuasion and living each day for the next temptation. Because they extended the invitation. We coaxed the beast down from the hills. We said, come wreck our hearts. Come fill our hands with wealth and don't show no mercy. But the beast, it fooled us. It told us it loved us when really it ruled us. It subtly screwed us all down into place while we wept in its name and we begged for a taste. You see, when it's all so easy to grab, we get complacent. Our senses defenseless against the invasion of hostile forces parading as friendly. It feels like we got so much that it left us empty. So then we got more in a frenzy to fill up the void, but the void is increasing. It seems we're all speaking so much we've lost meaning. It seems we're all deep in the guts of this demon. But this ain't no overblown theory. I ain't saying this is the work of no secret pact. What I'm saying is, this is the outcome of consumer identity, and that is the beast at our back. And it has the support of the courts and the law. So now we can't trust justice because she just feeds the beast jaws with the bodies that writhe in a heap on the floor. And now the jails are all flooded with the blood of the poor. We must be like the water and head back to the source. Instead, we're grinning away while the rot rocks our core. But what for? Our smiles are locked doors and our hearts are not sure that we even want more. The meaning of mine isn't mine anymore. It's not yours. But you lot here, you are not a lost cause. Still, these are the times of the parables. These are the times of the freeborn mind, self-manacled. Times prophesied by the ancients when the days are so full that they've made us vacant. But just love. Be filled with love and have strength enough to be still when shoved. See, the filth and the rust can't corrupt the goodness that fills your blood. And all truth is built on trust. And it's up to us to move right, because moves must get made. So be barefaced in this masquerade. See, too many hearts have grayed in the dullness of days, but our hearts are displayed as we charge on like it's the last parade. We don't believe that we can't be saved. We believe in change, and we believe it transpires when we need it. But the ships that we sail are not sea fit. It's these vessels filled with the chaos of commerce that are leading us into the wreckage. But I swear, we're at the helm. We've got the tillers in hand. And the truth that was lost, we can still understand. We need to build bridges over this splintered land before the hourglass cracks and it spills its sand.
I thought it was okay. I could understand the reasons. They said there might be a man or a nervous child seeing this small piece of flesh that they weren't quite expecting. So I whispered and tiptoed with nervous discretion. But after 6 months of her life sat sitting on lids, sipping on milk, nostrils sniffing on piss, trying not to bang her head on toilet roll dispensers, I wonder whether these public loo feeds offend her. I'm getting tired of discretion and being polite. As my baby's first sips are drowned, drenched in shite, I spent the first feeding months of her beautiful life feeling nervous and awkward and wanting everything right. Surrounded by family till I stepped out the house. It took me 8 weeks to get the confidence to go into town. Now the comments around me cut like a knife as I rush into toilet cubicles feeling nothing like nice. Because I'm giving her milk that's not in a bottle. Wishing the cocaine generation white powder would topple. I see pyramid sales pitches across our green globe and female breasts banned, unless they're out just for show. And the more I go out, the more I can't stand it. I walk into town, feel I'm surrounded by bandits, because in this country are billboards covered in tits and family newsagent magazines full of it. W.H. Smith top shelves out for men, why don't you complain about them then? In this country of billboards covered in tits and family newsagent magazines full of it. W.H. Smith top shelves out for men. I'm getting embarrassed in case a small flash of flesh might offend. And I am not trying to parade this. I don't want to make a show. But when I'm told I'd be better just staying at home. And when another friend I know is thrown off a bus and another mother told to get out of a pub, even my grandma said maybe I was sexing it up. And I'm sure the milk makers love all this fuss, all the cussing and worry and looks of disgust as another mother turns from nipples to powder, ashamed or embarrassed by comments around her, and as I hold her head up and pull my cardi across and she sips on that liquor made by everyone's God, I think for God's sake Jesus drank it. So did Siddhartha, Muhammad and Moses and both of their fathers, Ganesh and Shiva and Brigid and Buddha, and I'm sure they weren't doing it sniffing on shit as their mothers sat embarrassed on cold toilet lids in a country of billboards covered in tits. In a country of low-cut tops, cleavage and skin, in a country of cloth bags and recycling bins, and as I desperately try to take all of this in, I hold her head up. I can't get my head round the anger towards us and not to the sound of lorries offloading formula milk into countries where water runs dripping in filth, in towns where breasts are oases of life, now dried up in 2-for-1 offers enticed by labels and logos and gold standard rights claiming breast milk is healthier, powdered and white, packaged and branded and sold at a price so that nothing is free in this money-fueled life, which is fine if you need it or prefer to use bottles where water is clean and bacteria boil. But in towns where they drown in pollution and sewage, bottled kids die and they knew that they'd do it. In towns where pennies are savoured like sweets, we are now paying for one thing that has always been free. In towns empty of hospital beds, babies die, diarrhoea fueled that breast milk would end. So no more will I sit on these cold toilet lids, no matter how embarrassed I feel as she sips. Because in this country of billboards, covered in tits, I think I should try to get used to this.
Come, come, gather with the strength of love. Humble concrete jungle, rustle one's life with pain and strife no longer. We are here now here, forevermore. So of course the only intention is to love and be loved. It cannot be ignored. Laugh at prejudice, laugh at war, not to dismiss the seriousness of such a way, but to see it and release it as a resisting force, stopping love from being the way. Stand up to prejudice, stand up to war by creating spaces of transparency, empathy, and compassion. Spaces we can all enjoy. Humanity is an adventurer, exploring all that it was made from. No need for separatism through identification. Blood runs through I like the earth's lakes, rivers, oceans. They have been birthing life for millennia. Who are we? Just a speck of the ultimate observer. Universal self, manifest as a window of awareness, covering nakedness with shirts, pants, shoes, dress. Awareness has been, awareness being, creating life since universal birth. We are universal.
C was bitten on her ring finger by a teensy orange spider hiding inside a washed and ready-to-eat packet of sliced courgettes imported from Kenya. The finger swelled and tightened. How could the epidermis stretch so far without tearing apart? But the real problem was in her toes. Pretty soon, she lost all feeling in her feet and dropped to the floor. And moment by moment, the numbness increased as if molten lead were flowing through her veins to her lower limbs. However, her mind remained clear, and with great foresight, she thumped the leg of the kitchen table with the outside of her fist, causing the telephone handset to jump from the docking station and fall safely into the hairy tartan blanket in the wicker dog basket. She called her brother, Sandy. Sandy's voice said,
"Hi, I'm at the golf course. Leave a message."
She called her mother. Her mother said,
"Forget the spider. Where's that pastry brush I lent you? And the silver candlesticks you borrowed to impress that boss of yours at one of your fancy pants dinner parties? Where will it all end, see? It'll be the melon baller next, then the ice cream scoop, and soon I'll have nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing. God knows I didn't bring you up to be a thief, but you have a problem with honesty, see? You really do. Did you find the man yet? Now leave me alone. I can hear the nurse coming."
C's dog padded over and licked her chin, then went back into the living room to watch daytime TV. C lay on the tiles on the kitchen floor for a few cold, quiet minutes, considering the ever after. Then with her good hand, she punched a long, random number into the keypad. 11 or 12 digits. After a lot of clicking and crackling, it rang.
Who is this?
Said a man.
My name's C, and I'm dying from a spider bite.
She said, and described the incident with the insect and the pre-packed salad vegetables. The man said,
I'm dying too. I've been adrift in an inflated inner tube in the Indian Ocean for 6 days now, and the end is near. I think a shark took my leg, but I daren't look.
Why don't you call for help?
She asked.
Why don't you?
He replied. His name was Dean. They chatted for a while, not caring a hoot about the cost of premium rate international calls during peak periods.
Is it dark there?
C wanted to know.
Yes. Are you married?
Asked Dean. C replied.
I've had no luck with men, even though I'm a lovely person and I've taken good care of my body.
What's your best feature?
My laugh.
Said C, laughing.
And my lips, which have never received the attention they deserve.
The poison had reached as far as her windpipe and was tightening around her throat. Dean said,
Do you think we could have made it together?
I think so.
She whispered.
I don't like courgettes.
Dean joked. And those were his last words.
I would have done broccoli.
She breathed.
Or even cauliflower. Whatever you asked for, I would have made.
There was a horrible pause as we sat there wondering whether or not to applaud. Then the curtains closed.
My city has a lot of faces. Some can be found in forgotten places, comfortably sound with a lot of graces. The sun could be down on his Hungary town, but in London he found him a shot of greatness. My city has a lot of faces. Some can tell you what a loss of faith is. Before we hated people, we were all created equal. Then we learned to despise the strife and forgot that variety is the spice of life. Look around you. Constantly standing on the brink of history, watching newsreaders linking mystery. Even though a few reporters taught us to be cautious because they stink of this disease called inconsistency. See, my city has a lot of faces. 4 of them belonging to Big Ben, the rest of them hidden behind big business and Big Brother ensures all of them are monitored with them. Under social tensions, you can see London languishes. 30% minorities, 300 languages, differences, race and class, it's all enormous, but the common ground we found surpasses all the borders. If you meet a rich man, ask all his daughters, all his sons, we all live once. And who among us wouldn't want all of his funds? That's rhetorical, but I don't need call and response to know. That's how Londoners are from time to time. Only got the time to grind and whine. Technically, I'm from an elegant city, but I'm not the kind to wine and dine. I grew up around lots of crime, the violent kind. You might have heard about the rocks, the grime, the hype and shine. It's not just Cockney rhyming slang, we got block beef, violent gangs. Awkward interactions which most don't force. Children navigating through post-Cold Wars. In the states with the least funding, look at the state of East London. That's a paradox. Witness economy blooming for the have-a-lots. Business is going to be booming, but there's a difference between having a front row seat and watching from the sidelines. TFL knows the world is your oyster, as long as you can afford it. Even though you might need to remortgage to get from Aldwych to Shoreditch, inconvenient if you're poor, which could be expected in a tax system where the more rich get more rich. 273 times the wealth of the poorest. Yet your door is next door to the extra poor. We look on the bright side, but we're vexed for sure, like all we have to ourselves is sex and war, and a lot of diversity. So what could I personally hate a complexion for? I see different coloured hands outstretched for more. Feel free to come to London and still see the London Dungeon. Experience a tube of mad claustrophobics where food and bad posture don't mix. And join us in moving along to the groove of the song. What a sight to see, we could swap a nicety. Some of us feel you've forgotten my city, but hopefully you'll be proving us wrong. If you can take the rough with the smooth, then it's on.
It's not what's said, it's what's not said what says it all. The moment you brought it home, I'll never forget. It was only 7 foot tall then. An elephant, I said. Put it in the backyard. Fine, you said. Fine. And disgruntled, you tied it to the washing line as you slept. I would stand by the window, draw back the curtains, and I would watch it. In the backyard, a dark hump, a shadow, an iceberg rising and falling with each deep, gentle snore. Breakfasts were never the same again. The elephant took up all the room and had no table manners whatsoever. But it was good for the washing up. Whenever I broached the subject, you would rant and rave and fume. Said I was going crazy. There was no elephant in the room, but the saddest thing was not the crockery it smashed, nor the walls demolished of our past. It wasn't its footprints stamped all over our home, nor the cracked floorboards or its want to roam. It was the lie established. When I said, "It's there," for years you looked at me and said, "Where, dear? Where?"